second statement is also correct, but in fact the second statement is incorrect because if you apply the same concept, that is international dateline, this Asia part, and this is your international 0 degrees, that is a Greenwich mean time, and this is your again the extreme part of your western side of America, that we call as Alaska. It means whenever there is here Monday, they're calling it as a, here in Alaska part it is a Tuesday. This statement is incorrect. This statement is incorrect. It will be lagging. It means it shall be a Sunday in Alaska. That's why second statement is incorrect. Only first statement is correct. Only first statement is correct. Next, resource-rich nations. Here, these three resources like your diamonds, lithium, nickel are in the news, and they have correctly matched with the countries. Botswana known for diamond, Chile is known for lithium, which is very essential and critical for your EV batteries. Indonesia is famous for nickel. So all the given statements are correct. Next, 100th question, that these reasons are in the news because of one or another reasons, that all the given three reasons and countries respectively, they are incorrectly matched because Sardinia, it's related to Italy. Sardinia, it is related to Italy. Normandy, it is related to France. So Mallorca, it is related to Spain. So they're asking that correctly matched. Therefore, all the given are incorrectly matched. So this is related to geography questions. I can say geography questions are factual in nature. They're factual in nature and conceptual. And when it comes to difficulty level, I can say it is moderate to difficult. Moderate to whom and difficult to whom? Difficult for freshers and moderate to seniors who are practice some kind of previous year questions and been having a regular habit of reading newspaper. They feel that the question paper is moderate when it comes to geography. I can say this question paper is balance of conceptual questions, factual questions, and that's the reason that I say when it comes to prelims exam, you have to solve previous year questions and newspaper and NCRT. This is more than required to clear upcoming prelims exam. Okay, NCRT, previous year questions and newspaper, stick on to this one, practice more previous year questions and try to solve more number of multiple choice questions. Definitely you could able to clear the 2026 prelims exam. So with this, so geography questions are over. My next faculty will take up the next subject. Polity. Okay.
Good evening, students. Today we are discussing UPSC Prelims Polity 2025 Key. Okay. So we'll start with the first question. With reference to the Indian polity, consider the following statements. First statement: an ordinance can amend any central act. This is true. This is true. Ordinance can be amended. Okay, can amend any central act. And an ordinance can abridge a fundamental right. This is wrong. Because an ordinance has the same limitations that the parliament has. So it cannot abridge a fundamental right. Third statement: an ordinance can come into effect from a bad date. Means that has a retrospective effect. So this is also true. So how many statements are true? First statement and third statement are true. The answer is 1 and 3. This is the answer. And the next question. Yeah. Consider the following pairs. State and description. So Arunachal Pradesh. The capital is named after a fort and the state has 2 national parks. Yes, Arunachal Pradesh is capital city is Itanagar and that is named after Eta fort. Eta means bricks. So this is right. And the state has 2 national parks. Yes, it has 2 national parks, Namfanda and Mauling National Parks. So this is right. And Nagaland. The state come into existence on the basis of Constitutional Amendment Act. Yes, the Nagaland came into existence on 13th Amendment in 1963. In 1963. Okay. 1963. So the second statement is also true. And Tripura. Initially a Part C state. Yes, Tripura was initially Part C state and it became a centrally administered territory with the recognition of states in 1956. This is also true. And later attained the status of a full-fledged state in 1972. So the 3 statements, the state and descriptions matches. All are true. So the answer will be, the answer is all 3. Okay. Next question. With the reference to India, consider the following. What are they? The first, the Interstate Council and the National Security Council and Zonal Councils. So the question is, how many of the above were established as per the provisions of the Constitution of India? So, what he mentioned, which has a constitutional provisions in these councils. So the zonal councils. If you see the zonal councils, they are statutory bodies. The Interstate Council is constitutional body. And next, National Security Council, it is not constitutional or non-statutory body. And zonal councils, non-constitutional and statutory bodies. So the answer is only the Interstate Council is constitutional body. So the answer will be only 1. This is the answer. Consider the following statements. The first statement. The Constitution of India explicitly mentions that certain spheres of a governor of a state acts in his or her discretion, her own discretion. Yes, governor has discretionary powers. Where we can know this? Article 154. So, The statement is true. And next, the President of India can, of his or her own, reserve a bill passed by the state legislature for his or her consideration without it being forwarded by the governor of state concerned. This is wrong. Because what Article 201 is telling? The governor has to reserve the bill for president consideration. So, president cannot reserve the bills, state bills. So, this is wrong statement and this is correct statement. So, only one. A will be the answer. And next, consider the following pairs. What he mentioned, provisions in the Constitution of India stated under. So, what are the provisions he mentioned? Separation of judiciary from the executive in the public services of the state. This is Article 50 and it deals with the directive principles of state policy. So, this is true. And the next one, valuing and preserving the rich heritage of our composite culture. It comes under Article 51A. It comes under fundamental rights. So, fundamental duties. So, this is also right. And the next, prohibition of employment of children below the age of 14 years in factories. This is nothing but Article 24. It comes under fundamental rights. So, the three statements are true. So, the answer is all three. Okay. We'll see the next question. So, 56th question. Consider the following statements with reference to the Constitution of India. If an area in the state is declared as a scheduled area under the 5th schedule, the state government loses its executive power in such areas and the local body assumes total administration. Actually, state government does not lose its executive power. Governor will have special powers to administrate such areas, such scheduled areas. Governor is head of state. So, this is wrong. This is wrong statement and the union government can take over the total administration such as under certain circumstances on the recommendations of the governor. This is a tricky statement. Best of our knowledge, our assumption is if you consider the emergency case, presidential rule, governor has to suggest the president rule to the president. So, if you consider that if president rule is applied, then it will cover the scheduled area as well. In this assumption, the two can be true. If it is not considered, nowhere it is explicitly mentioning this statement is true. So, in that case, neither one or not two could be the answer. This is the only question we have doubt here, but most of the time the answer would be two only. Okay, the next question. With the reference to India, consider the following pairs. Organization and union ministry. We have to match the ministry with the organization. What is the organization? The National Automotive Board. It comes under Ministry of Heavy Industries. And here he mentioned Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So, this is wrong. And the COIR Board. The COIR Board comes under the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. So, he mentioned under Heavy Industries. This is also wrong. The National Center for Trade Information. This comes under Ministry of Commerce and Trade Industry. So, this is also wrong statement. So, how many of the above pairs are correctly matched? So, none is the answer. None is your answer. And the next question. Consider the following subjects under the Constitution of India. He mentioned three subjects that are List 1, Union List in the 7th schedule, extent of executive power of the state, conditions of the governor's office. So, what he is asking about? For constitutional amendment with respect to which of the above ratification by the legislature of not less than one half of the states is required before presenting the bill to the President of India for assent. Generally, the ratification by states is needed for the amendment of federal features. So first we have to list out what are the federal features in it so that we can conclude the answer. Union list, yes, it will come under the federal feature. So we require ratification by states. And next, extent of executive power of the state, yes, we need ratification as well. But conditions of the governor office does not need ratification of states. So the answer is 1 and 2. The answer is 1 and 2. The answer is 1 and 2. Next question. With reference to the Indian polity, consider the following statements. He has given 3 statements. The governor of the state is not answerable to any court for the exercise and performance of the powers and duties of his or her office. Yes, this is true. This comes under privileges and immunity of governor. So, he is not answerable to any court. Okay, this is true. No criminal proceedings shall be instituted or continued against the governor during his her term of office. Yes, this is also true. This is also comes under immunity of governor. Member of state legislature are not liable to any proceedings in any court in respect of anything said within the house. Yes, this is also true. Anything said or any vote, they cannot be prosecuted. Okay, so the 3 statements are true. The answer is D. 1, 2, 3. And the next question. Consider the following activities: production of crude oil, refining, storage and distribution of petroleum, marketing and sale of petroleum products, production of natural gas. How many of the above activities are regulated by the Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Board in our country? This is discussed in Petroleum Natural Gas Regulatory Board Act. In this, it is dealing, this act is 2006. Okay. This act is explicitly telling that refining, storage, marketing, sales of petroleum is dealt with this act and excluding the production of crude oil and natural gases. So production of crude oil is not its job, and production of natural gas, it's not job. So the answers are 2 and 3. So only 2 is the answer. Okay. The next question. Yeah. Excuse me. Consider the following statements regard to the pardoning power of the President of India. So he is mentioning about pardoning power of President of India. The first statement tells the exercise of this power by President can be subjected to limited judicial review. This is a tricky question. Actually, it is not subjected to judicial review unless it is considered as irrational, malified, arbitrary and impartial, partial. So discriminatory. So this all includes the limited. The limited term added. That's why this is true statement. Okay. So this is true, and The president can exercise this power without the advice of central government. So president has discretionary power in three elements. He can send back the act or advice of the Council of Advice for reconsideration to Council of Ministers. That is one. And the second discretionary power is he can use the veto power. That is second one. And the third, he can appoint the president, prime minister. President can appoint the prime minister. Only these three are discretionary powers of president. Here, the pardon power is not of president's discretion. It is conducted on the aid and advice of Council of Ministers. So this is wrong. So only one statement is true. The next question. Consider the following statements. He mentioned three statements. First one, on the dissolution of the House of the People, the Speaker shall not vacate her office until immediately before the first meeting of the House of the People after dissolution. Yes, this is true. Because the Speaker will continue in the position until the new Speaker, new presiding officer of the House is elected. So, this is true. And the second statement, according to the provisions of the Constitution of India, a member of the House of the People, on being elected as a speaker, shall resign from his or her political party immediately. This is not true. In case of India, in Britain, the speaker is non-party man. He'll resign. But in India, he need not to resign his political party, but he has to be impartial. So, this statement is wrong. And the third statement, the Speaker of the House of the People may be removed from his or her office by the resolution of the House of the People passed by majority of all the then members of the House, provided that no resolution shall be moved unless at least 14 days notice has been given of intention to move the resolution. This is true. In the removal of speaker, we have two considerations. First, the majority should be then members of the House, all the then members of the House. And the second thing, 14 days prior notice has to be given. So, this statement is true and the first statement is true. 1 and 3. The answer is C. And the next question. Okay, consider the following statements. We have two statements here. If any question arises as to whether a member of the House of the People has become subjected to disqualification under the 10th schedule, the President's decision in accordance with the opinion of Council of Ministers, Council of Union Ministers shall be final. Coming to the House disqualification of member, the Speaker can take the decision of disqualification of the member, not the President, and not on the advice of Union Minister or Council of Ministers. So, this statement is wrong. And there is no mention of the word political party in the Constitution of India. This is also wrong because there is a term mentioned in the Constitution of political party. But there is no precise definition of political party, but it is mentioned in anti-defection law while mentioning Election Commission of India. So, political party, the word is mentioned. So, this is wrong. The statement 1, the statement 2, both the statements are wrong. So, the answer is which of the statements given above are correct? So, neither 1 nor 2 will be the answer. And the next question. Consider the following statements. Statement 1. In India, state governments have no power for making rules for grant of concessions in respect of extraction of minor minerals, even though such minerals are located in their territories. It is dealing with MMDR Act. Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act. So, in section 15, it is clearly telling that state government is empowered to levy taxes and grant concessions on minor minerals. So, this is wrong. Okay. Coming to the statement 2. In India, the central government has a power to notify minor minerals under the relevant law. This is true. It is under section 3, clause E. It's telling that union government can notify minor minerals. Okay, so this is true and this is wrong. The answer is the statement 1 is not correct, but the statement 2 is correct. Answer is D. So the next question. Which organization has enacted the Natural Restoration Law (NRL) to tackle climate change and biodiversity loss? The answer is European Union. This came into action for restoring degraded ecosystems. Okay, restoring degraded ecosystems. These are the all polity questions we discussed key here. Thank you so much. What?
Hello everyone. అన్నట్టు Hello everyone. The preliminary analysis of economic questions in UPSC 2025 prelims shows that UPSC has concentrated more on conceptual base and somewhat it has touched the application oriented, and most of I think the most important thing is recently UPSC didn't touch the elimination techniques, but this year UPSC had touched the elimination techniques, which is somewhat crucial. So it makes the paper a little bit towards easy, right? Thank you. Let's see. With reference to investments, consider the following: bonds, hedge funds, stocks, and venture capital. Which of the following are alternative investment funds? Alternative investment funds are like a just pool of funds which are alternative in nature, right? So they are not the traditional instruments, which are hedge funds and venture capital. So the answer is only two. Next, which of the following are the sources of income for the Reserve Bank of India? Buying and selling of government bonds, which is open market operations, yes. Buying and selling of foreign currency, which actually gives us the somewhat signage, yes. Pension fund management, it is not. It comes under the public account of India, and then lending to private companies is not happening. Then printing and distribution of currency notes comes under the signage. So 1, 2, and 5. The answer is D. So the income sources of Reserve Bank of India comes in buying and selling of government bonds, which is open market operations, buying and selling of foreign currency, which gives us the edge for RBI to increase its dividends. And 5, printing and distributing currency notes, which comes under signage. The profit that comes by printing of currency minus cost of printing the currency. So the answer is 1, 2, and 5. మళ్ళీ క్వశ్చన్ చేయాలా చేయాలా వీడియో కన Hello everyone. So the economy, most of the times UPSC concentrated on conceptual based questions, and 2 to 3 questions it had concentrated on application oriented questions. And the most important thing, UPSC concentrated on the elimination technique, which it had left 4 to 5 years back itself. So this is the preliminary analysis of economy paper. Let's see what are the questions and their answers. With reference to investments, consider the following. What are the alternative investment funds which are given? Yes, alternative investment funds are the pool of funds which are alternative sources of investment rather than the traditional sources of investment, which are hedge funds and venture capital funds. The answer is only 2. Next, what are the sources of income for the Reserve Bank of India, which is buying and selling of government bonds, that is open market operation? Yes, it will be having dividends for it. Next, buying and selling of foreign currency, which will give the edge for RBI to earn more dividend. Next, pension fund management. No, pension fund is not managed by RBI. It is managed by Public Fund of India. Public account. It is managed by Public Account of India, and this is nowhere concerned with RBI. And lending to private company, which is not happening. Now, printing and distributing currency notes, which is the signage, where the profits arising out of printing the currency, where minus cost of printing the currency will be reduced. Next, the answer is 1, 2, and 5. Next, with reference to India, consider the following information. Organization, Directorate of Enforcement. As we all know, Directorate of Enforcement is entrusted with 3 different laws where it has jurisdiction. PMLA, which is Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002, Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999, and then Fugitive Economic Offenders Act 2018. Yes, the function is right. Next, it is not in the Ministry of Home Affairs, it is in the Ministry of Finance. So, first one is wrong. Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. Yes, it enforces the Customs Act of 1962, and then it is under the Department of Revenue. Director General of Systems and Data Management, which is constituted recently. Next, it carries out the policy analysis and the data needed for it. It is under the Department of Revenue. Yes. So, 2 of them are right. Next. Four, the Reserve Bank of India mandates all the listed companies in India to submit a business responsibility and sustainability report. If you see, it is not the Reserve Bank of India that has the jurisdiction over listed companies. It is SEBI, which gives the guidelines for the businesses to submit business responsibility and sustainability report every year. And that's why this is wrong. Next, in India, a company submitting a BRSR makes disclosures in the report that are largely non-financial in nature. No, they are financial in nature also. Right? Yes. Then the answer is B. Next. Fifth one. In India, income from agricultural allied activities like poultry farming and wool rearing in rural areas is exempted from any tax. These type of blanket statements, most of the times they become wrong. Yes, they are taxable. In India, rural agricultural land is not considered a capital asset under the provisions of Income Tax Act 1961. Yes, if it is a municipality, the area outside of the 2 kilometers radius is termed as the rural land, the agricultural land in rural areas. Yes. So, statement 1 is not correct and statement 2 is correct. Next. Consider the following statements. India has joined the Mineral Securities Partnership as a member. Yes, it has joined in 2023. Next, India is a resource-rich country where all the 30 critical minerals, again, blank state, all the 30 critical minerals that it has identified. No, most of the times it is actually importing where the chromium, cobalt or manganese. So, it is actually importer rather than the exporter. Right. So, except silicon, most of the times in the critical minerals which are necessary for the manufacturing of electronics and semiconductors. So, it is actually importing, not self-sustained. So, this is wrong. Next, the Parliament in 2023 has amended the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Act 1957, empowering the central government to exclusively auction mining lease and composite license for certain critical minerals, which is correct. Which is correct. So, the answer is 1 and 3. So, this is one of this is the recent trend which was started by UPSC this year. Statement 1, as regards returns from the investment in a company, generally bondholders are considered to be relatively at lower risk than stockholders. But why? Because bondholders have the fixed interest rate which can be returned, whereas stockholders have the ownership. So that's why they are relatively lower at risk, which is correct. Next, coming to statement 2, bondholders are lenders to a company, whereas stockholders are its owners. Yes, stockholders like equity stockholders or preference stockholders, they are shareholders in the company. They are mutual owners in the company, whereas bondholders are the lenders who lends at a fixed interest rate. Next, For repayment purpose, bondholders are prioritized over stockholders by a company. Yes, because in order to give the dividends, first of all, it need to repay its debt. So debt will be given preference rather than the dividend. So that's why bondholders are given more preference. So these two explains the bondholders considered relatively at lower risk. That's why both statement 2 and statement 3 are correct, and both of them explain statement 1. Next, India accounts for a very large portion of all equity option contracts traded globally, thus exhibiting a great boom. Yes. With the rise in the equity options, equity derivatives, India has excelled into the #1 position of equity options in the world, in the entire world in 2023. Next, India's stock market has grown rapidly in the recent past, even overtaking Hong Kong's at the same point at some point of time. Yes, in 2024, in market capitalization, it has crossed the Hong Kong, and then it had stood as a 4th largest market capitalization in the stock market in 2024, which is right. Next, there is no regulatory body either to warn the small investors about the risk of options trading or to act on unregistered financial advisors in this regard, which is wrong. Which is wrong. So the answer is A. Next, this statement is about circular economy, where in the circular economy, the production, the waste in the production is reduced, and the same point of time, reduce, reuse, and recycle is the mantra of circular economy. Let's see. Circular economy reduces the emissions of greenhouse gases. Yes, as the waste is reduced in the production process, the emissions are getting reduced. Yes, which is correct. Next, circular economy reduces the use of raw material as inputs. Yes, it reduces the use because most of the items are reused. So the raw material usage will be reduced. Next, circular economy reduces wastage in the production process, which is the crucial for the circular economy. So these two explains the circular economy, why emissions are reduced for the circular economy. That's why statement 2 and statement 3 are correct, and they explain statement 1. Next, capital receipts create a liability or cause a reduction in the assets of the government. Borrowings and disinvestment are capital receipts. Interest received on loans create a liability for the government. When you see capital receipts, they are one-time receipts. They are not recurring ones. So when you say capital receipts, the borrowings, whatever loans that you are taking, they come under the capital receipts. And at the same point of time, disinvestment receipts are also the capital receipts, which are not recurring in nature. So both of these two are capital receipts, which is clearly correct. If you see, he had linked statement 2 with statement 1. Capital receipts create a liability. When you take the borrowings, you are liable to pay it back. So capital receipts create a liability to the borrowing, which is correct. Whereas, or it causes a reduction in the assets of the government. Yes, as disinvestment reduces the shareholding of the government in the government asset, it reduces the assets in the government. Yes, it is also correct. So that's why our statement 1 is correct, statement 2 is correct. Interest received on loans create a liability of the government. No, interest received, it is not interest payable is liability. Interest received is an asset, right? This is wrong. So option 1 and option 2. Yeah, here. These are the application oriented questions. If you know the basics, then application oriented questions will become more easier. Suppose the revenue expenditure is 80,000 crores and the revenue receipts of the government are 60,000 crores. Through this, we can clearly understand that revenue deficit is 80,000 crores minus 60,000 crores, which is 20,000 crores. Yes, revenue deficit is right. Next, The government budget also shows borrowings of 10,000 crores. What do you mean by borrowings? Budget is nothing but the annual financial statement. So in the annual financial statement, if they are actually showing the borrowings, it is the excess expenditure that happened which is borrowed by the center, What do you mean by excess expenditure? Excess expenditure is nothing but the fiscal deficit. So the borrowings of one particular year is fiscal deficit, whereas the borrowings over a long period of time, they come under the debt to GDP ratio. That's why 10,000 crores is the fiscal deficit which is happening. Then interest payments is 6,000 crores. As we all know, primary deficit is fiscal deficit minus interest payments, which is 4,000 crores. Fiscal deficit is 10,000 crores. So the answer is option D. Next. India is the founding member of International North-South Transport Corridor, a multimodal transport corridor which will connect. Most of the times people are actually circling this option. No. It is India to Central Asia to Europe via Iran, because India via Iran go to the St. Petersburg, which is the Western Russia, which is a part of Europe. So India via Iran to Europe. Right, India to Central Asia to Europe via Iran. This is the answer. Next. Of the two major ethanol producers in the world, Brazil and USA, the former produces more ethanol than the latter. Now, in the last 4 years, or in the last in the last decade itself, USA is producing more ethanol than the Brazil. Yes, both of them are the top two ethanol producers, but USA produces more than the Brazil. Why this question was asked? Because India is concentrating on achieving 30% of ethanol blending, because it has achieved 20%, which is very huge, right? So that's why this question was asked. Now, this is former produces more ethanol than the latter. No. Unlike in the United States of America, where corn is the principal feedstock of ethanol production, sugarcane is the principal feedstock for ethanol production in Brazil. Yes. In USA, for ethanol production, corn is the major source, whereas in Brazil, it is sugarcane which is the major source. Yes. Statement 2 is correct, whereas statement 1 is incorrect. Statement 1 is incorrect. Next, the World Bank warned that India could become one of the first places where wet bulb temperatures routinely exceed 35 degrees centigrade, which actually shows the heating and humidity in the atmosphere, right? Which of the following statements best reflect the implication of the above said report? Firstly, peninsular India will most likely suffer from flooding, tropical cyclones and droughts. Yes, as you know that wetland wet bulb temperatures increases, the moisture and the humidity increases. That too for the peninsular India, which is surrounded by the water, the humidity will be much more. As the humidity rises and the heat rises, the air becomes relatively lesser, right? Then it will lead to the flooding, it will lead to the tropical cyclone, and in some parts of like western parts of the continent, they become drought. So that's why peninsular India will most likely suffer from flooding, tropical cyclones and droughts. Then the survival of animals including humans will be affected as shedding of their body heat through perspiration becomes difficult. Yes. As the heat and humidity increases, the suffocation increases. A country's fiscal deficit stands at 50,000 crores. Yes. Then it is receiving 10,000 crores through non-debt creating capital receipts. The country's interest liabilities are 1,500 crores. What is the gross primary deficit? As they have asked about gross primary deficit, it is gross fiscal deficit minus interest payments. Yes, gross fiscal deficit. In the gross fiscal deficit itself, this non-debt creating capital receipts are added, because fiscal deficit is nothing but total expenditure minus total revenue. Total expenditure minus total revenue. So in the revenue receipts, they are added already. So this is given for the confusion. No. 50,000 crores minus 1,500 crores, which is 48,500 crores, which is the gross primary deficit. Gross primary deficit. Which of the following with regard to the recommendations of 15th Finance Commission in India are correct? Most of the times people are actually seeing these figures and they are getting confused. No, this is the easiest question of the lot. Now, it has recommended grants of 4,800 crores for the year 2022-23 to the year 2025-26 for incentivizing states to enhance educational outcomes. Let's put it aside. 45% of the net proceeds of union taxes are to be shared with the states. Is this 45%? No. 41%. In its first report, it has recommended 42%, but in the second report, it had recommended 41% to all the states, including Jammu and Kashmir. Right. Second one is correct. As the second one is correct, if you can see, second one is wrong. As the second one is wrong, if you see, A, B and D will be out of equation, and then that's why C is the right answer. Along with it, you can also see that it reintroduced tax effort criteria to reward fiscal performance, which is having 2.5% as proportion in the vertical devolution. Consider the following statements with respect to the IBRD, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. It provides loans and guarantees to middle income countries, which is clear. Yes. It works single-handedly to help developing countries to reduce poverty. No, it is a sister organization of the World Bank. So it is working in sync with the World Bank. So this is wrong. Next, it was established to help Europe rebuild after World War II. Yes, the answer is 1 and 3. About RTGS and NEFT. In RTGS, the settlement time is instantaneous, as the name itself suggests. It is real-time gross settlement, while in case of NEFT, it takes some time to settle payments, which will be happening in batches. Next. In RTGS, the customer is charged for inward transactions. The inward transactions, all the transactional charges are removed in RTGS and NEFT, whereas outward transactions are charged, while that is not the case with NEFT. Yes. Operating hours for RTGS are restricted on certain days, while this is not true for NEFT. No restrictions on the operational hours. It is 24/7 into 365. So the answer is A. Consider the following countries: United Arab Emirates, France, Germany, Singapore, Bangladesh. How many countries amongst the above are there other than India where international merchant payments are accepted under UPI? Yes. International merchant payments are accepted in United Arab Emirates, France and Singapore. So 1, 2 and 4, only 3. Along with them, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Mauritius are the countries that have United Payments Interface merchant transactions internationally. Next. Consider the following statements regarding Pradhan Mantri Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. It targets installation of 1 crore solar rooftop panels in the residential sector, household sector, which is correct. The Ministry of New and Renewable Energy aims to impart training on installation, operation, maintenance and repairs of solar rooftop systems at grassroots levels. Yes, which is correct, which is given in the Gazette. It aims to create more than 3 lakh skilled manpower through fresh skilling and upskilling under scheme component of capacity building, which is correct. So the answer is 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2 and 3. Yes. The questions of economy more or less are moderate to easy and you can answer them easily, right? So thank you. My next master will be taking the other questions. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Today I'm here standing before you to discuss the UPSC GS paper 1 for the subject both science and technology as well as for environment as well. So let us start. And I think we have already discussed what is the weightage of different questions and how is it split into different things. We'll start with our first question without wasting any time. So the first question here states, this is from set A. Set A, question number 31. If you're looking at set B, then I think there is a different order. So I am discussing the questions from set A of GS1 of the UPSC question paper, right? Now, question number 31, consider the following statements. Statement 1 says, studies indicate that carbon dioxide emissions from cement industry account for more than 5% of global carbon emissions. Statement 2 says that silica bearing clay is mixed with limestone while manufacturing cement. And statement 3 here states that limestone is converted into lime during clinker production for cement manufacturing. If you observe, all of these statements, the statement 1, 2, 3 are independently very correct. Yes. Now, what is the difficulty in solving such questions is whether both the statement 2 and 3 are correct, and is 2 and 3 explaining statement 1, or only one of the two statements is explaining statement 1, or only one of the statements, that is either 2 or 3 is correct and one of the statements is explaining statement 1, or neither statement 2 or statement 3 is correct. If you observe very carefully, there are many questions, statement 1, 2 and 3 in assertion reason type of questions. If you have observed, nowhere in the options it is mentioned that statement 1 is false in nature. Right? From the statements, you can make out that all the statement 1, 2, 3 questions that we have, inherently statement 1 is true. All you have to check for is statement 2 is right or wrong, statement 3 is right or wrong, whether it is explaining statement 1 or not. So you will save a lot of time when you have done this in your paper. So this is how your presence of mind works when you're working out on a paper under pressure, right? Now, if you look at this question, we can see that they have mentioned a percentage of 5. If you are aware and you are reading the current affairs, you know that it is between 5% to 8%. The global carbon emissions from the cement industry is between 5% to 8%. And silica bearing clay is actually mixed, but this is not explaining statement 1. Yes. And limestone is converted into lime during clinker production for cement manufacturing, and this explains statement 1 because the limestone consists of CaCO3 where the emissions are possible. Yes, mixing silica into the limestone is not helping, or it is not aggravating the global carbon emissions, whereas statement 3, if you observe, limestone, which consists of the carbon compound, it will affect the carbon emissions. That is about question number 1. That means both statement 2 and 3 are correct, but only one of them explains statement 1, and that one of them is statement 3, not statement 2, right? If that is clear, on that basis, we have many other questions. We will see the next question, question number 32. Here the statement 1 states that at the 28th United Nations Climate Change Conference COP28, India refrained from signing the Declaration on Climate and Health, which is true. Then the second statement says the COP28 Declaration on Climate and Health is a binding declaration, and if signed, it becomes mandatory to decarbonize health sector, which is not true. This is not a binding declaration. Then, if India's health sector is decarbonized, the resilience of its healthcare system may be compromised, which is true. And hence, we did not sign it. That means, again, statement 1 is true, that which is not asked in the options. Out of this, only statement 3 is true. That means only one of the statements 2 and 3 is correct and explains statement 1. This explains statement 1. So option C is the right answer in this question. If we move on to the next question, you can see that consider the following statements. Statement 1 says scientific studies suggest that shift that a shift is taking place in the Earth's rotation and axis, which is true. We all know that there is a shift in rotation and axis. Then, solar flares and associated coronal mass ejections bombarded the Earth's outermost atmosphere with tremendous amount of energy, which is again true. We know solar flares keep hitting the Earth's atmosphere and it releases a lot of energy. Then, third statement here says, as the Earth's polar ice melts, the water tends to move towards the equator, which is again true. Yes, now we have three statements that are true. Whether this is explaining statement 1, most of the people thought because of its high energy, this is explaining, or this is one of the solar flares are one of the reasons for the change, or the change that is taking place in Earth's rotation and axis, which is not true. Yes, then what is true? The Earth's polar ice melts. The water tends to move towards the equator. So the melting glaciers is the reason for the change. What you have to know is when the mass of water changes, or there is an alteration in the mass of water on the Earth's surface or the underground water, that means even groundwater extraction is responsible for the change in Earth's rotation and axis. Groundwater extraction. And what else are the reasons? Some seasonal changes where you have the pressure winds changing. When you have the pressure winds changing, even then. So what occurs, what is the major reason for all of this? It is nothing but climate change. And we have many reports stating these. Yes? Now, we'll move on to the next question if that is clear. Question number 34. Consider the following statements. Statement 1. Article 6 of the Paris Agreement on Climate Change is frequently discussed in global discussions on sustainable development and climate change, which is perfectly right. Yes, if then the statement 2 here states, Article 6 of the Paris Agreement on Climate Change sets out principles of carbon markets. Yes, Article 6 of the Paris Agreement on Climate Change intends to promote inter-country non-market strategies to reach their climate targets, which is again true. Yes, we have discussed this in our PCM classes, so you must be aware of all of these statements that are true. Now, what is it? Both of the statements are the reason why Article 6 is always frequently in use for the reasons of sustainable development and climate change. Now, what is the answer here? Yes, the answer here would be both statement 2 and statement 3 are correct, and both of them explain statement 1. Right? Now, moving on, you can see question number 35. Which one of the following launched the Nature Solutions Finance Hub for Asia and the Pacific? If you are following the news, you know that this is released by the Asian Development Bank, which is the major outcome of COP28 session that happened very recently. So this is a direct question from environment, which if you are following current affairs will be easy for you to recognize. Moving on to the next question, question number 36. With reference to direct air capture on emerging technology, which of the following statements are correct? The first one, it can be used as a way of carbon sequestration. Perfectly right. Then, it can be a valuable approach for plastic production and food processing. CO2 once captured, it can be used for plastic production. Yes, the monomers of the polymers like polyethylene, they are all carbon compounds. So carbon dioxide can be used for plastic production. Then food processing, yes, some foods which involve the growth of algae and the processing of such foods, there again in food processing technology also we use carbon dioxide that is sequestered. In aviation, it can be a source of carbon for combining hydrogen. Yes, the sequestered carbon can be used as a fuel in aviation by combining it with the hydrogen. Right? Now, all the three statements are true in nature. So, option C is right for question number 36. Moving on to question number 37. Regarding peacock tarantula, consider the following statements. Now, many people have asked me, ma'am, I have not seen this anywhere in news in 2023 or 2024. Why is it here? One, for the reason that this species is critically endangered. Yes, by the IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature. Then, if you have watched the Spider-Man series, you know tarantulas are spiders. So just by understanding the fact that they're spiders, you can tell that they're not crustaceans. First option you can eliminate. Then, its natural habitat in India is only limited to some forests. Yes, they're present in Eastern Ghats. That was the news article that was there in 2019, where we have found tarantula or the peacock tarantula in Eastern Ghats. If you're finding them in Eastern Ghats, then obviously they're arboreal species. Now, what do they mean by arboreal species? Those species which live on trees. If their habitat is forest, obviously they live on trees. Now, option 2 and 3 are correct. So, option D is right for this question. Yes, moving on to the next question, we can see, consider the following statements. Carbon dioxide emissions in India are less than 0.5 tons of CO2. Carbon footprint per capita means every person in India, what is their carbon footprint? It is between 1.5 tons to 2 tons, which we have again discussed in our PCM classes. Yes. So I think it should have helped you to answer this question better. In terms of CO2 emissions from fuel combustion, India ranks second. Yes. In Asia Pacific region, when you're talking about fuel combustion, China ranks first and India ranks second. So the second statement is correct. And the first statement is wrong. Electricity and heat producers are the largest sources, yes, of CO2 emissions, which is true. We know electricity is produced by thermal, which is the largest contributor. So at least just because of this, you must have marked it right, and it contributes to more than 55% of emissions in India. So 2 and 3, option C is the right answer for question number 38. Moving on, let's see what do we have in question number 39. This is a very interesting question. I don't know how you students must have attempted this question. Let us make it more interesting. There are many things that are there. We'll go from the end. Papaya, is it a woody shrub? Papaya tree many times, and we call it a tree, not shrub. So this is obviously wrong because it is a tree and it is not woody. We know, we have seen it many times. Yes. Mint, as we know, pudina, we use it every day. It's a herb and it's a perennial herb. That means it grows all through the year and it is not a shrub, it is a herb. So this is again something that is wrong. Malabar spinach, palak, that we use on a daily basis, herbaceous climber. It is not a climber. We know that it grows on land like any other shrub or a herb. Yes. Now, if these three are wrong, let's say if you do not know whether these two are right or wrong, you know the answer should be either 2 only or 1 only. If you see the options carefully, there is no option mentioning that it is 1 only or only 1 is right. So minimum 2 should be right, and these are definitely wrong. So the answer is this. Before doing this elimination, let's also discuss ginger. Yes, it is a herb. It has a pseudostem. That means it has a false stem. The stem is not a real stem and it is a herb, not shrub. Then cassava, if you know, it is tapioca. All the NCERTs mention cassava, tapioca for majority of them. In Telugu, it is sagubiya, budana. So the tree, if you know now, it is a woody shrub, which is right. Yes. So the answer is option A, only 2. I hope you're following. And we have come to question number 40. With reference to planet Earth, consider the following statements. First one, rainforests produce more oxygen. This is environment question. So let's have that inclination. Rainforests produce more oxygen than that produced by oceans, which is rainforests. How do they produce more oxygen? It is not relevant. We know that the land on the globe is 1/3, or let's say only 25%. Yes, the water or the oceans that are present constitute 75%. So the phytoplankton that is there on 75% of the water, that should be producing more oxygen when compared to what are the trees or whatever forests that are producing on the land. So this is obvious wrong statement. Marine phytoplankton and photosynthetic bacteria produce about 50% of world's oxygen, which is almost 55% and more sometimes. Yes, well oxygenated surface water contains several folds higher oxygen than that in atmosphere, which is again wrong. What is the constitution of oxygen in air? It is 21%. In a well oxygenated water, if you know, it is 8%. What does that mean? If you're taking 1 liter of air and 1 liter of well oxygenated water, there will be 210 milligrams of oxygen per liter. And here you have 8 milligrams per liter. Yes. So the answer here is only 2, that is B. Now let's move on to our next question, 41. Consider the following types of vehicles: full battery electric vehicles, hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, fuel cell electric hybrid vehicles. What about this question? How many of the above are considered as alternative powertrain vehicles? When this question was discussed with, or the students came up with asking me, what is this? How does we understand alternative powertrain vehicles? I said, see, use your common sense while solving a question. Always do not depend on what you have ratified or what you have by-hearted for the exam. Alternative here, for any general person, alternative means that which is not conventional in nature. So alternative powertrain vehicles are those vehicles which are used instead of the conventional vehicles which run on petrol or in. Yes. Now, what are all the electric vehicles or the fuel cell vehicles that are mentioned here? Everything is an alternative to the conventional, and hence all the 3 that are mentioned here are alternative powertrain vehicles. Moving on. With reference to unmanned aerial vehicles, consider the following statements. All types of UAVs do vertical landing, which is wrong. How can, see, it is the natural characteristic of any body to land on a, if you drop the pen, if I leave it for a free fall, what is the type of landing that it will take? It will take a horizontal. Think of a normal plane. What is the kind of landing that a normal flight has? It is horizontal, not vertical, right? The same thing with the UAVs. For UAV to take a vertical landing, it needs specific motors which are not found in all types. All types, you do not find them landing vertically. Most of them land horizontally. All types of UAVs can do automated hovering. No. Some of the UAVs need manual monitoring for the hovering that needs to be done. So this is again wrong. All types of UAVs can use battery only as power supply. No, some use solar power, some use batteries, some use some other source of powers. So this is again wrong. So all the 3 statements are wrong and the option is D. Yes. Now moving on to the next question. In this context of electric vehicle batteries, consider the following elements. We know cobalt, lithium, nickel and manganese are cathodes. Yes. From the basic understanding of how a electrochemical cell works, we understand all of them are cathodes and graphite is an anode. What are different anodes that we see of? Germanium, graphite, yes, silicon, mixture of all these elements. Yes. So the answer here is 1, 3 and 4. So hence only 3 of them are the materials that are used or that make up for cathodes. Then the next question, consider the following: cigarette butts, eyeglass lenses, and car tires. Which of them consists of plastic? All of them consist of plastic. We know from childhood we have been studying that car tires, when burnt open, they release most of the CFCs and different kinds of emissions which are harmful, and they also contain plastic. Then What else? Cigarette butts. If you have been following current affairs, the WHO has released and it has banned cigarette butts in many of the European states. And that is why here you can find the question. So cigarette butts have been banned, and there were reports on WHO on how cigarette butts are leading to plastic pollution. Yes. So all of them contains plastic, all the three. That is option C. Moving on, question number 45. Consider the following substances: ethanol, urea, nitroglycerin. Three of them. Coal gasification. Where did we see coal gasification? If you remember, we have on the similar lines coal gasification and plasma gasification in solid waste management. Yes. What are the byproducts of the gasification? Do you remember anything on those lines? One is syngas. Syngas is nothing but carbon monoxide plus hydrogen. Yes, the other one is biochar. And the ammonia that is released is used in preparation of urea. And the methanol and ethylene that is used that is helping in production of ethanol. Yes. Now nitroglycerin is something which the glycerin compound cannot be found in either organic waste or inorganic waste. And hence this is not part of it. So only 2 is the answer. I hope you're following, and we'll move to the next question, that is, what is the common characteristic of the chemical substances generally known as Cl20, HMX, LLM105, which is sometimes talked about in media? All we know is HMX, like RDX, is an explosive. HMX is high melting explosive, which is very much in current affairs. Yes. So it is used, sorry, these are the explosives that are used in military weapons. Option B is the correct answer. Moving on to the next question, consider the following statements. It is expected that Majorana 1 chip will enable quantum computing. Yes, Majorana 1 chip has been introduced by not Amazon Web Services, by the Microsoft. And deep learning is a subset of machine learning. We all are aware of artificial intelligence. Yes, artificial intelligence. And the subset of artificial intelligence is machine learning. And the subset of machine learning is deep learning. And hence, this is also true. So option 1 and 3, option C is what we are looking at. That is the answer. And then 48, with reference to monoclonal antibodies often mentioned in news, consider the following statements. Yes, monoclonal antibodies are man-made proteins, and by the virtue of being a immunoglobulin. Yes, we know what are immunoglobulins. So they stimulate immunological function due to their ability to bind specific antigens. Any antibody will bind with their own specific antigen. So it is not specific to monoclonal, any antibody. So this is again true. They are used in treating viral infections like Nipah virus. If they are made to treat Nipah virus, they'll be treating Nipah virus. They can be used for treating Ebola. They can be used to treat COVID or the SARS-CoV virus as well. So all the 3 statements here are true. So option D is the right answer. Moving on, consider the following statements. No virus can survive in ocean waters. Wrong. There are many viruses that we are testing on in the marine deep waters. Yes, so it is always in use, and we have discussed this in current affairs recently also. No virus can infect bacteria, which is wrong. We know about bacteriophages. That means bacteriophages are those viruses which eat or thrive on bacteria. Yes, that means virus infect bacteria as well. Virus can make any cell a host cell for itself to survive. It can be bacteria, it can be a human cell, it can be an animal cell, it can be a plant cell. Yes. Now, no virus can change the cellular transcriptional activity in the host, which is completely wrong. the whole point how virus grows in a body is by changing the transcriptional activity. What is transcriptional activity? Changing the DNA into mRNA, messenger RNA, right? So that grows in a host. So all the three statements are wrong. How many of them are correct? None of them are correct. Moving on. Question number 50. Consider the following statements. Activated carbon is a good and an attractive tool to remove pollutants from effluent streams, to remediate contaminants from various industries, which is very much true. Activated carbon is the same carbon that we have seen in ads like Pond's activated carbon or activated charcoal, activated carbon toothpaste, that way say. So you have seen that the charcoal is absorbing all kinds of metals or heavy metals or pollutants that are there. So if you see in this statement 2, activated carbon exhibits a large surface area and strong potential of absorbing the heavy metals. If you are confused between absorbing and absorbing is on absorption is something that happens in a deeper level. Absorption is something that happens only at the surface level. So that means if you have a larger surface area, then the absorption takes place very fast, and if it is porous, if the surface is porous, then the absorption is increased. That means the statement 2 is also right. Activated carbon can be easily synthesized from environmental waste with high carbon content, which is again true. If any organic content is having, or any object or any material is having high carbon content, when it is burnt, it is turned into charcoal or carbon. Yes, that means if you have high carbon content, this is also true. Now, both of them are true, activated carbon. But are they explaining statement 1 is the question. Are they explaining? No. So here we can see both statement 2 and statement 3 are correct, but only one of them, that is the activated, that is the statement 2 is explaining statement 1. You can see if you have this confusion of answering, activated carbon exhibits a large surface area and strong potential for absorbing heavy metals, due to which they act as a tool to remove effluent streams and remediate contaminants from various industries. Did you see what I have done? I have combined them to make a sentence where this becomes the reason of it. And if it is making a logical sentence, that means it is the right explanation. You can try it for statement 3 as well. Activated carbon can be easily synthesized from environmental waste with high carbon content, due to which they remove pollutants. What is the link? There is no link here. So this is not the right explanation. This is the right explanation for this. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following statement. Some rare elements are used in the manufacturing of flat television screens and computer monitors. Yes. Some rare earth elements have phosphorescent properties, which are true. Those elements which have phosphorescent properties are used in the manufacture of flat television screens and computer monitors. Now, what are phosphorescent properties? Those properties which absorb light and emit them and stores them for a time and then emits them a little bit later. So if you are using them in dark times, in times like you can use them for traffic signals, yes, as well as in flat screens, as well as in computer monitors. So both statement 1 and 2 are correct, and statement 2 explains statement 1. So option A is right. Moving on, consider the space missions. Here, any space mission, be it Axiom 4, SpaceX or Gaganyaan, once you are in space, you are tend to do microgravity research. What is microgravity research? Those things which can, those experiments which can be conducted in no gravitation zone or low gravitation zones. So such experiments, once you are there, you conduct such experiments, you do not make your mission waste without conducting them. So all of them will conduct microgravity, and hence the option is C. Next we have question number 84. With reference to India's defense, consider the following pairs. Dornier 228, which is a maritime patrol aircraft. Yes. IL-76 It is not a super combat aircraft. It is something that is used to carry freight or cargo. Then C-17 Globe Master 3 is a military transport aircraft, which is true. So only 2 of them are right. Then I think this is the last question, or we have one more. Artificial way of causing rainfall to reduce air pollution makes use of silver iodide and potassium iodide, and the other one that we know of is dry ice. And it is in use that the same thing has been done. The research has been done by the IIT Kanpur. Yes, thank you very much. I hope you like the session.
Hello all, Andariki Namaskaram. I am Santosh. I deal Indian history. Now we'll see the questions. First question, ఇక్కడ మనం చూస్తే consider the following statements about Raja Rammohan Rai. He possessed a great love and respect for the traditional philosophical systems of the East. This is true statement. Now, he desired his countrymen to accept rational and scientific approach. సో ఈ రేషనల్ సైంటిఫిక్ అప్రోచ్ తీసుకురావాలని చెప్పేసి ఆల్రెడీ మనకు తెలుసు. బ్రహ్మసభ కానీ బ్రహ్మ సమాజ్ కానీ ఇన్ 1815 హీ ఎస్టాబ్లిష్డ్ ఆత్మీయ సభ. లేటర్ ఇన్ 1828 హీ ఎస్టాబ్లిష్డ్ బ్రహ్మసభ అండ్ బ్రహ్మసభ లేటర్ చేంజ్డ్ ఇట్స్ నేమ్ టు బ్రహ్మ సమాజ్. సో మనకి తెలుసు. సో దీన్ని బట్టి ద ఆన్సర్ ఈస్ 2 స్టేట్మెంట్స్ ఆర్ ట్రూ. సో దీన్ని బట్టి మనకు ద ఆన్సర్ ఈస్ both 1 and 2. నెక్స్ట్ క్వశ్చన్ ఒకసారి ఇక్కడ చూసుకుంటే కన్సిడర్ ద ఫాలోయింగ్ సబ్జెక్ట్స్ విత్ రిగార్డ్ టు నాన్ కోఆపరేషన్ ప్రోగ్రామ్. ఇక్కడ ఈ నాన్ కోఆపరేషన్ ప్రోగ్రాంలో వాళ్ళు ఏమేమి చేద్దాం అనుకున్నారు, సో అది వాళ్ళు ఇక్కడ అడిగినారు అనమాట. బాయ్కాట్ ఆఫ్ లాకౌట్స్ అండ్ ఫారెన్ క్లాత్, దిస్ ఈస్ ఈజీ స్టేట్మెంట్, ఇట్ ఈస్ ట్రూ. అబ్జర్వెన్స్ ఆఫ్ స్ట్రిక్ట్ నాన్ వైలెన్స్, 100% ఇట్ ఈస్ ట్రూ. ఎందుకంటే మనకి ఈ నాన్ వైలెన్స్ అన్న కాన్సెప్ట్ మనకు చౌరీ చౌరా ఇన్సిడెంట్లో వైలేట్ అవుతుంది కాబట్టి మనకి నాన్ కోఆపరేషన్ మూమెంట్ అనేది గాంధీజీ ఆపేస్తాడు. సో దిస్ ఈజ్ ఆల్సో ట్రూ స్టేట్మెంట్. ఇట్ ఈస్ రిటెన్షన్ ఆఫ్ టైటిల్స్ అని ఉంది, రిటెన్షన్ ఆఫ్ టైటిల్స్ కాదు, రినౌన్సియేషన్ ఆఫ్ టైటిల్స్. సో టైటిల్స్ కూడా వదిలేయాలి. నెక్స్ట్, ఎస్టాబ్లిష్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ పంచాయత్స్ ఫర్ సెటిలింగ్ డిస్ప్యూట్స్. ఈ పాయింట్ ఎక్కడ కూడా లేదు. నాన్ కోఆపరేషన్ మూమెంట్లో భాగంగా విలేజ్ లెవెల్లో పంచాయత్స్ ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ చేయాలి అని చెప్పేసి ఎక్కడ కూడా ఈ నాన్ కోఆపరేషన్ ప్రోగ్రాంలో పార్ట్ కాదు. సో ద ఆన్సర్ ఈస్ ఓన్లీ 2. నౌ విల్ గో టు 13th క్వశ్చన్. సో ఇక్కడ 13th క్వశ్చన్ వచ్చేసి అరగట్ట అంటే ఏంది అని చెప్పేసి అడిగారు. ఆల్రెడీ వీ నో ఇట్ ఈస్ ఇరిగేషన్ డివైస్, క్వశ్చన్లోనే క్లియర్గా మెన్షన్ చేసింది. సో ద ఆన్సర్ ఈస్ a large wheel with earthen parts tied to the outer ends of its spokes. సో ఒక పెద్ద చక్రానికి ఎర్తన్ పార్ట్స్ అనేవి ఫిక్స్ చేసి ఉంటాయి, అది తిరుగుతూ ఉంటే కింద నుంచి బాయిలో నుంచి నీళ్లు తీసుకొని పైన పోస్తుంది అనమాట. సో ఇది ఒక ఇరిగేషన్ సిస్టమ్ లాగా వర్క్ చేస్తుంది. సో దట్ ఈస్ అరగట్ట. నౌ సో దిస్ ఈస్ రిగార్డింగ్ పల్లవాస్. హూ అమాంగ్ ద ఫాలోయింగ్ రూలర్స్ ఇన్ ఏన్షియంట్ ఇండియా హ్యాడ్ అజ్యూమ్ ద టైటిల్స్ మట్టవిలాస, విచిత్ర చిత్త అండ్ గుణభార? సో దీనికి ఆన్సర్ వచ్చేసి మహేంద్ర వర్మన్ 1. సో ద నెక్స్ట్ క్వశ్చన్ Fahian, the Chinese pilgrim, traveled to India during the reign of. సో ఇతను 4th and 5th century ఈ మధ్యలో he visits India డ్యూరింగ్ ద పీరియడ్ ఆఫ్ చంద్రగుప్త 2. నెక్స్ట్ ఇంకొక చైనీస్ ట్రావెలర్ కూడా మనకు హుయన్సంగ్ అని చెప్పేసి he visits India in 7th century డ్యూరింగ్ ద పీరియడ్ ఆఫ్ హర్ష. సో మనకు ఫాహియాంగ్ కానీ హ్యుయాన్సంగ్ కానీ ఇత్సింగ్ కానీ వాళ్ళు ఎప్పుడు వచ్చిర్రు, ఏ కింగ్ పీరియడ్లో వచ్చిర్రు, అవన్నీ కూడా మనం క్లియర్గా గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలి. క్రోనాలజీ కూడా గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలి. నౌ విల్ మూవ్ టు 16th క్వశ్చన్. సో ఇక్కడ 16th క్వశ్చన్ ఒకసారి చూస్తే, హూ అమాంగ్ ద ఫాలోయింగ్ లెడ్ ఎ సక్సెస్ఫుల్ మిలిటరీ క్యాంపెయిన్ అగేన్స్ట్ కింగ్డమ్ ఆఫ్ శ్రీ విజయ, అంటే ఇండోనేషియా ఆ పార్ట్స్. సో ద ఆన్సర్ ఈస్ రాజేంద్ర 1. ఇట్ ఈస్ ఈజీ క్వశ్చన్, మనకు తెలుసు. సో చోలా పీరియడ్లో దే హ్యావ్ ఇన్వేడెడ్ ఇండోనేషియా, దట్ సౌత్ ఈస్ట్ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఏషియా ఇన్వేడ్ చేసిండ్రు అని చెప్పేసి మనకు తెలుసు. సో దిస్ ఈస్ సమ్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ డిఫికల్ట్ క్వశ్చన్. With reference to ancient India, the following. So మహానదా అది ఆ రీజన్లో ఫ్లో అయ్యే రివర్స్ ఇచ్చిండ్రనమాట. సో అస్మాక ఇట్ ఈస్ గోదావరి రివర్. అస్మాక ఈస్ ద ఓన్లీ మహాజనపద విచ్ ఈస్ సిచ్యువేటెడ్ ఇన్ ద సౌత్ అండ్ దట్ టు ఇన్ తెలంగాణ. సో ఇప్పుడు మనం ఏదైతే చెప్పుకుంటున్నామో బోధన్ కానీ నిజామాబాద్ కరీంనగర్ ఏరియా, సో అప్పట్లో ఇది అస్మాక మహాజనపదలో అదొక పార్ట్. సో దిస్ ఈస్ ట్రూ. కాంబోజా అనేది నార్త్ వెస్ట్ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియాలో ఉంటుంది. సో ఈ విపాస్ అనేది ఇండస్ రివర్కి ఒక రివర్ అనమాట. సో ఇండస్ రివర్కి ఏదైతే ట్రిబ్యూటరీ ఉంటుందో దట్ ఈస్ విపాస్, బట్ ఇట్ విల్ నాట్ ఫ్లో, ఇట్ డస్ నాట్ ఫ్లో ఇన్ ద ప్రావిన్స్ ఆఫ్ కాంబోజా. సో కాంబోజాలో అది ఉండదు. సో దిస్ ఈస్ రాంగ్ స్టేట్మెంట్. అండ్ అవంతి వచ్చేసి మనకు మధ్యప్రదేశ్ సైడ్ నర్మదా పైన మనకి అవంతి మహాజనపద అని ఉండదు. మహానది వచ్చేసి వి నో ఇట్ ఫ్లోస్ ఇన్ ఒడిషా. సో దిస్ ఈజ్ ఆల్సో రాంగ్ స్టేట్మెంట్. కోసల వచ్చేసి మనకు నేపాల్ యూపీ ఆ బార్డర్లో ఉంటుంది. సో ఈ సరయు రివర్ అనేది ఇట్ ఫ్లోస్ త్రూ కోసల. సో దీన్ని బట్టి ద ఆన్సర్ ఈస్ ఓన్లీ 2. నౌ విల్ మూవ్ టు 18th క్వశ్చన్. 18th క్వశ్చన్ వచ్చేసి ద ఫస్ట్ Gandharva Mahavidyalaya, a music training school, was set up in 1901 by Vishnu Digambar Paluskar. So ఇది వచ్చేసి లాహోర్లో he established. He born in Maharashtra. సో లేటర్గా ఆయన క్లాసికల్ మ్యూజిక్లో కూడా ట్రైన్ అయిన తర్వాత వేరియస్ పర్ఫార్మెన్సెస్ ఇస్తాడు. సో తర్వాత అతను లాహోర్లో సెట్ అయ్యి he established గాంధర్వ మహావిద్యాలయ. నౌ 19th, ఇట్ ఈస్ ఈజీ క్వశ్చన్. అశోకన్ ఇన్స్క్రిప్షన్స్ దాంట్లో ప్రాదేశిక కానీ రజుక కానీ యుక్త కానీ, సో ఏ లెవెల్ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్లో వాళ్ళు ఉంటారు అని చెప్పేసి అడిగారు. ఇక్కడ విలేజ్ లెవెల్ వి నో ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్, ప్రావిన్షియల్ లెవెల్ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్లో కాదు, సెంట్రల్ లెవెల్ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్లో కాదు. దే ఆర్ ద ఆఫీసర్స్ ఎట్ డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ లెవెల్ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్. నౌ విల్ కమ్ టు ద క్వశ్చన్ నంబర్ 20. Consider the following statements in respect of non-cooperation movement. The Congress declared the attainment of Swaraj by all legitimate and peaceful means to be its objective. This is 100% true. But second statement చూడండి, it was to be implemented in stages with civil disobedience and non-payment of taxes. For the next stage only Swaraj did not come. సో ఒక 1 yearలో స్వరాజ్ రాకపోతే అప్పుడు సివిల్ డిసొబీడియన్స్ చేద్దాము అని చెప్పేసి గాంధీజీ ఆ నాన్ కోఆపరేషన్ మూమెంట్లో అన్నాడు అని చెప్పేసి స్టేట్మెంట్ ఉంది. దిస్ ఈజ్ రాంగ్. ఎందుకంటే గాంధీజీ ఏమన్నాడు, నేను చెప్పినట్టు చేస్తే విత్ ఇన్ 1 yearలో మనకు స్వరాజ్ వస్తుంది అని చెప్పేసి అన్నాడు. బట్ 1 year తర్వాత రాకపోతే మళ్ళీ తర్వాత మనం సివిల్ డిసొబీడియన్స్ చేద్దాము అని చెప్పేసి ఎక్కడ కూడా చెప్పలేదు. సో ద ఆన్సర్ ఈస్ 1. నౌ విల్ మూవ్ టు ఫర్దర్ హిస్టరీ క్వశ్చన్స్. నెక్స్ట్ మనకు 71 to 75 కూడా హిస్టరీ క్వశ్చన్సే ఉన్నాయి. నౌ విల్ సీ దెమ్. One minute. సో నెక్స్ట్ మనకు 71 నుంచి మన హిస్టరీ క్వశ్చన్ స్టార్ట్ అవుతాయి. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ హియర్. ఓకే, రైట్. 71 ఈ క్వశ్చన్ చూడండి. సెడిషన్ హ్యాస్ బికమ్ మై రిలీజన్ వాజ్ అ ఫేమస్ స్టేట్మెంట్ గివెన్ బై గాంధీజీ. సో ఈ స్టేట్మెంట్ గాంధీజీ ఎప్పుడు ఇచ్చిండు అని చెప్పేసి అంటున్నారు. సో ఇది మనకు క్లియర్గా తెలుసు, పబ్లిక్లీ వైలేటింగ్ సాల్ట్ లా ఎట్ దండి. సో దండి మార్చ్ ఎప్పుడు స్టార్ట్ అయింది ఏంది, వి నో ఇట్. 12th March 1930లో స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది, 6th April 1930. సో అక్కడ దండిలోకి వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత అక్కడ ఈ సాల్ట్ మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చర్ చేస్తాడు అనమాట. సో హీ వైలేట్స్ ద సాల్ట్ లా. సో దాన్ని బట్టి అప్పుడు మనకు ఈ సెడిషన్ హ్యాస్ బికమ్ మై రిలీజన్ అన్న స్టేట్మెంట్ అప్పుడు మనకు గాంధీజీ ఇస్తాడు. ద నెక్స్ట్ క్వశ్చన్, ఇట్ ఈస్ వెరీ ఈజీ క్వశ్చన్. 72nd, the famous female figurine known as dancing girl. So dancing girl, of course, మనకు bronze తో it is made of. Next 73rd question ఒకసారి చూస్తే, who provided legal defense to the people arrested in the aftermath of చౌరా ఇన్సిడెంట్? ఇక్కడ వచ్చేసి మనకు ఆన్సర్ మదన్ మోహన్ మాలవియా అండ్ కృష్ణకాంత్. సో యాక్చువల్గా మదన్ మోహన్ మాలవియా 1913లోనే ఆయన ఈ అడ్వకేట్ పొజిషన్ అనేది కొంచెం బయటకు వచ్చేస్తాడు, ఎందుకంటే బనారస్ హిందూ యూనివర్సిటీ పైన ఫోకస్ చేయాలని. బట్ లేటర్ ఈ ఇన్సిడెంట్ అయిన తర్వాత 1923లో మళ్ళీ వీళ్ళ కోసం వాదిస్తాడు అనమాట. సో ద ఆన్సర్ ఈస్ బి. నౌ విల్ సీ ద 74th క్వశ్చన్. 74th క్వశ్చన్ వచ్చేసి, సబ్సిక్వెంట్ టు విచ్ ఆఫ్ ద ఫాలోయింగ్ ఈవెంట్స్ గాంధీజీ కన్సిస్టెంట్లీ ఆపోజ్డ్ అన్టచబిలిటీ అండ్ అపీల్డ్ ఫర్ ఇట్స్ ఎరాడికేషన్? సో ఏ ఈవెంట్ తర్వాత ఎక్కువగా ఈ అన్టచబిలిటీ కానీ, సో హరిజన్ వాళ్ళ డెవలప్మెంట్ గురించి కానీ ఎప్పటి నుంచి స్టార్ట్ చేసిండు, ఏ ఈవెంట్ తర్వాత స్టార్ట్ చేసిండు అంటే ఇట్ ఈస్ పూనా ప్యాక్ట్. ఆల్రెడీ మనకు తెలుసు ద కమ్యూనల్ అవార్డ్ ఏదైతే ఉంటుందో, కమ్యూనల్ అవార్డులో భాగంగా ఈ దళిత్స్కి కూడా సపరేట్ ఎలక్టరేట్స్ ఇస్తామని చెప్పేసి వాళ్ళు అంటారు. సో దానికి అగేన్స్ట్గా ఎరవాడ జైల్లో గాంధీజీ ఫాస్టింగ్కి కూర్చుంటాడు. సో అప్పుడు అంబేద్కర్ తర్వాత వేరియస్ పర్సన్స్ వాళ్ళతో అంబేద్కర్కి గాంధీజీకి మధ్యలో మనకు ఈ పూనా ప్యాక్ట్ అనేది జరుగుతుంది. సో దాని తర్వాత గాంధీజీ ఎస్పెషల్లీ హీ ఫోకస్డ్ ఆన్ ద డెవలప్మెంట్ ఆఫ్ హరిజన్స్. సో అన్టచబిలిటీ అనేది ఉండొద్దు, సో వాళ్ళకు కూడా టెంపుల్ ఎంట్రీ ఉండాలి. సో అవన్నిటిపైన కూడా గాంధీజీ అనే వ్యక్తి ఫోకస్ చేస్తాడనమాట. నౌ విల్ కమ్ టు ద లాస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్ ఆఫ్ అవర్ హిస్టరీ. కన్సిడర్ ద ఫాలోయింగ్ ఫ్రూట్స్. సో ఈ మూడిట్లో ఎవి పోర్చుగీస్ ద్వారా మన ఇండియాలో ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేసిండ్రు అని చెప్పేసి అంటున్నారు. పపాయా, పైనాపిల్ అండ్ గోవా. ఈ మూడు కూడా దే వర్ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్డ్ ఇన్ టు ఇండియా బై ద పోర్చుగీస్. సో దీంతో పాటు ఇంకో ఫ్రూట్ అవకాడో, అది కూడా మనకు పోర్చుగీసే ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేశారు. దాంతోపాటు టొమాటో కానీ పొటాటో కానీ, సో ఇట్లా వేరియస్ అగ్రికల్చరల్ ఐటమ్స్ వర్ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్డ్ ఇన్ టు ఇండియా బై ద పోర్చుగీస్. సో ఇవి మనకు హిస్టరీ నుంచి 15 క్వశ్చన్స్ వచ్చినాయి. సో దిస్ ఈస్ రిగార్డింగ్ దిస్ హిస్టరీ క్వశ్చన్స్. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
సో హలో ఆల్, యూపీఎస్సీ సివిల్ సర్వీసెస్ 2025 జిఎస్ పేపర్ 1కి సంబంధించినటువంటి కరెంట్ అఫైర్స్ క్వశ్చన్స్, వాటికి సంబంధించినటువంటి కీ విత్ ఎక్స్ప్లెనేషన్. సో ఫస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్ మనకి ఇచ్చినటువంటి కరెంట్ అఫైర్స్ క్వశ్చన్ మొత్తం మీద కూడా దాదాపుగా 16-17 క్వశ్చన్స్ ఇంక్లూడింగ్ ఐఆర్ పార్ట్ కూడా. సో కరెంట్ అఫైర్స్ పార్ట్ వచ్చేసి ఈసారి ఇచ్చినటువంటి క్వశ్చన్స్ ఒక 16-17 క్వశ్చన్స్ ఉన్నాయి, వాటి గురించి డిస్కస్ చేద్దాం. సో ఎక్కువగా ఈసారి ఐఆర్ పార్ట్ ఎక్కువగా ఫోకస్ చేయడం జరిగింది. నౌ సీ ద ఫస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్. కన్సిడర్ ద ఫాలోయింగ్ స్టేట్మెంట్. Consider the following statements, following countries. Consider the following countries: Austria, Bulgaria, Croatia, Serbia, Sweden, North Macedonia. So each and every countries NATO members కానిది ఏది? So which of the following countries are not belongs to a NATO membership? So how many of the above members are NATO organization? So NATO organization belongs to, generally NATO is an organization, it's a security alliance organization. Now, Austria and Serbia, these are not the members of NATO. Bulgaria, Croatia, Sweden and North Macedonia, these are the 4 members of the NATO organization. Totally, NATO is having 32 members. Recently, Sweden is added in 2024. Recently, Sweden is added in 2024. So that is the reason why this question might be asked in UPSC. Now, how many of the above members belongs to NATO? Total 4 only. Option B is the right answer. You can see the member of the NATO. See here. Finland is also added into NATO in the year 2023 and Sweden in 2024. Now see here. 50th question number in set B. So all the questions which I am going to deal in set B is the paper. Now consider the following statements about Rashtriya Gokul Mission. Actually, this Rashtriya Gokul Mission launched in 2014. The new Prime Minister at that time, Narendra Modi. Now this Rashtriya Gokul Mission, Gokul is a word which deals with the cow. Rashtriya means India, the country. So thus the government of India want to develop the indigenous varieties of cows or indigenous varieties of buffalo or cattle feed, I can say. So it is important for the upliftment of rural poor, as majority of low producing indigenous animals are with small marginal farmers and landless laborers. So generally cattle will be reared by the people who are very low income people, in the sense those who are having very less amount of the agriculture. So below poverty line, those who are having below 5 acres of land, small and marginal farmers who are cultivating the agriculture, they have to sufficient their livelihood with the cattle. So automatically the government of India want to increase the indigenous breeds of the cattle. So this is option, statement 1 is true. And it was initiated to promote indigenous cattle and buffalo. So that is what the most important part. You can see here, Rashtriya means within the country. Rashtriya means within the country. So that is the reason why indigenous is the right word here. So option 2 also correct. Total option both 1 and 2, both are right answer. Both are right answer. You can see question asked is correct answer. So option C is the right answer. Now 52nd question, consider the following statements in the respect of BIMSTEC. So Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation is a regional grouping. Generally, it is a regional grouping. Now, see the statement 1. It is a regional organization consisting of 7 member states till January 2025. This is true statement. So generally, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, all these are Thailand is the member countries. So statement 1 is true. It came into existence with the signing of Dhaka Declaration. Now the signing of Dhaka Declaration is not true. That too, it is in 1999. The statement 2 is extremely wrong, because it is came to being in the year 1997 itself. In the year 1997 itself. In 1997, it is comes under Bangkok Declaration. Bangkok Declaration. So through Bangkok Declaration in the year 1997, this BIMSTEC came into being. So statement 2 is wrong. Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Thailand and Nepal are founding members. So When it is found, 1997 is the founding year. But whereas Nepal is added in 2004. Nepal is added in 2004. So when Nepal is added in 2004, how the Nepal become the founding member? So statement 3 is wrong. So in BIMSTEC, the subsector of tourism is being led by India. So this statement is also correct statement. Obviously, 1 and 4 statements are true. 1 and 4 statements are true. Option C is the right answer. Option C is the right answer. Now, 53rd question. Who amongst the following are the members of the jury to select the recipient of Gandhi Peace Prize? So it is asking who are the members that select the recipient of Gandhi Peace Prize. Generally, President of India will award the prize. Generally, the President of India will award the prize. It might be Bharat Ratna, it might be Padma Awards, it might be any military awards, it might be in terms of central government wise, all the awards will be presented by the President of India, but President of India is not the jury of any of the membership. Means President of India will declare the position to present something, not to become the member of the committee. So President of India is wrong, and remaining Prime Minister is true, Chief Justice of India is true, and leader of opposition in Lok Sabha, that is also true. So select the correct answer using the code given below. So when 1 is wrong, just remember B and D will be eliminated, and remaining 3, where are 3? So 2, 3, 4. Option C is the right answer. Option C is the right answer. Now see here, 54th question. 54th question. GPS aided geo augmented navigation Gagan. GPS aided geo augmented navigation Gagan uses a system of ground stations to provide necessary augmentation. Which of the following statements is correct in respect of the Gagan? So with respect to Gagan, even this Gagan as a mission is going to give benefits for the security purpose, civil aviation, and other multiple applications for there. So it is designed to provide additional accuracy and integrity, that is true. It will allow more uniform and high quality air traffic management, civil aviation, that is also true. It will provide benefits only in aviation, but not in other modes of transportation. This is completely wrong. So whenever UPSC is asking some extreme statements, which is having no, only, etc., those are the wrong statements. So option 1 and 2, this is right answer. So generally we think of, or we thought of Gagan is the only mission which will apply or which will benefit the civil aviation. Not only civil aviation, but also security purpose or security surveillance, we can use this Gagan as a application. Now, you can see here, consider the following statements regarding AI Action Summit. Actually, recently AI Action Summit held in the month of February or March, in the month of March 2024 in France, where India is a co-host. So see the statement, co-chaired with India. The event builds on advances made at the Black Sheep Arc Summit held in 2023 and Seoul Summit held in 2024. So in 2025, the AI Action Summit is a result of these two summits. That is statement true. Statement 1 is right answer. Now coming to along with other countries, US, UK also signed the declaration. If really US and UK signed, why along with other countries is a statement given? All countries signed it. If UK and US also signed it, then the statement might be all countries who participated in the Action Summit would have signed it. So specifically they are mentioning means it is a wrong statement, means the statement is ulta. So UK and US did not sign the AI Action Summit plan. They did not sign. That is the reason why UPSC had a trap here. So statement only 1 is correct. Option A is the right answer. Asked question is correct statement he asked. Now coming to consider the following pairs. See, whenever the UPSC is asking these type of data oriented questions, they don't want to give any twist here. So International Year of the Women Farmer 2026 is the right answer. International Year of the Sustainable and Resilient Tourism 27 is the right answer. Means these years declared or these years dedicated to International Women Farmer. 2027 declared for the sustainable and resilience in tourism. So these years dedicated by the United Nations. Now International Year of Peace and Trust 2025, that is true. International Year of Asteroid Awareness and Planetary Defense 2029. So just try to remember, even near future, the questions might be asked from the statements of the UPSC of this question this year. So please do remember, all 4 statements are matched correctly. All 4 statements are matched correctly. Now see the 57th question with respect to the BRICS. Now 16th BRICS Summit, actually this 16th BRICS Summit held in 2024 is the year, 2024. Actually the 17th BRICS Summit is going to held in, 17th BRICS Summit is going to held in Brazil, Please do remember this year, 2025. 17th BRICS Summit is going to held in 2025, and 24 is the year 16th BRICS Summit was held under the chairmanship of or chairship of Russia in Kazan. That is the reason why we do remember Kazan declaration related to which of the following regional groupings or related to which of the following grouping. So it is BRICS. Statement 1 is true. Indonesia has become a full member of BRICS. Indonesia has become a full member of BRICS. Let's see this statement. Now the theme of the 16th, statement 2 is right. Indonesia become the full member. Now the theme of the 16th BRICS Summit was strengthening multiculturalism. The word here itself is wrong. Strengthening multilateralism is true. Strengthening multilateralism is true. That too, just global development and security. See, UPSC is literally twisting the statements. 1 and 2 both are right answer. 1 and 2 both are right answer. You can see I have given the theme of 2024 Kazan Declaration, strengthening multilateralism for just global development and security. This is the statement, or this is the theme of the 2024. Now 2025 theme, this year theme is going to held in Brazil, strengthening global South cooperation for more inclusive and sustainable governance. So this is going to be asked in the other exams also. So please do remember. Now 59th question. Now recently UPSC fall in love with sports related current affairs or sports related any prizes, etc. Consider the following statements in respect of first Coco World Cup. Actually this held in recently 2025. First Coco championship held in 2025. It was held in Delhi. That is true actually. That is true. India men beat Nepal with a score of 78-40 in the final to become the world championship in men category. India women beat Nepal. So India men and women beat Nepal only with a score of 54-36 in the final to become world championship in women's category. Now the point here is just try to remember UPSC is literally checking the factual data also. Now it reverses the statements. So Indian men team beat Nepal with a score of 54-36. The scores were reversed. 78-40 is the women team beat. Men team 54-36, women team 78-40. But see, these scores are reversed, literally playing the game with the students. Now, of the recent time, from 2023, even 24, even now, this year also, UPSC targeting for the sports related current affairs also, where none of the current affairs magazine do cover this. Okay. Now, statement only 1 is the right answer because he asked the correct statement. Now, 60th question. Consider the following statement. In the finals of 45th Chess Olympiad held in 2024, Gukesh Dommaraju became the world's youngest winner after defeating Russian player, actually defeating Chinese player. This is one mistake which committed in first statement. Second mistake within the same first statement is this is not chess Olympiad. Chess Olympiad is a qualifying nature where you become the grandmaster. But whereas chess championship, Gukesh Dommaraju won chess championship, not Olympiad. So statement 1 is wrong of 2 reasons. One, it is chess championship, not Olympiad. Second thing, he defeated the Chinese counterpart, not the Russian counterpart. So you may forget the player name, but try to remember the country of the player who defeated in the hands of Gukesh Dommaraju. Now, Abhimanyu Mishra, an American chess player, holds the record of becoming world's youngest ever grandmaster. This is true. Statement 2 is correct. So, obviously, B is the right answer. Next statement, consider the following statements. Indian Railways have prepared a national rail plan to create a future-ready railway system by 2028 here given. but it is not 2028, it is 2030. It is 2030. So statement 1 is wrong. Now Kavach is an automatic train protection system developed in collaboration with Germany. Actually, Kavach is indigenous system. Try to remember, Kavach is indigenous system, which is we made it. Our technological developments made this Kavach system. So statement 2 also wrong. Kavach system consisting of RFID tags fitted on tracks so that, see, Kavach system is not fitted for the train, but it is fitted for the track, not for the train. Please remember this. So those, when two trains are on the same platform or same track, automatically it will give the signal and both trains will be given alert so that both the trains will be taken care of, not to collide. So this statement is true, but the question asked is not correct statement, means it is asking the incorrect statements of the 60-second question. So 1 and 2 both are incorrect. So where is the option? 1 and 2 only both are incorrect. 1 and 2 only both are incorrect, because statement 1, 2030 is a target year. Statement 2, it is not developed with the support of Germany. We only developed it. We self-made, means indigenous development. Now this is the Kavach picture which have been given here. You can see. So here the green line which is targeting the signal, and it is given to the track itself, so that the signals will be delivered to the both the trains if those were running on the same track. Now 70th question, which organization has enacted nature restoration law to tackle climate change and biodiversity loss? Very, very important question. So NRL, which is brought by European Union. Option A is the right answer. Option A is the right answer. European Union. You can see here, nature restoration law approved in EU, ante means European Union Environment Council. Option A is the right answer. Direct question. 77th question. Consider the following statements in respect of International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. IBRD, we generally call it as IBRD, is one of the branch of or one of the organization of World Bank. Now see here, reconstruction means what? Something damaged earlier. Now they are in support to reconstruct and develop. So this World Bank was established, established this IBRD during World War II or end of the World War II. So they just want to support the European countries to rebuild again. So it was established to help European rebuild after World War II. Statement 3 is correct. Now it provides loans and guarantees, means it will make itself as a guarantee if someone giving loan to middle income countries. That is also true. It works single-handedly. This statement is too much extreme. See, any of the international organization cannot work single-handedly. So the statement itself is too much extreme. You can eliminate the statement. 1 and 3 are right answer. Option C is the right answer. Option C is the right answer. Now the 79th question, consider the following statements. How many of the above these following countries, UAE, France, Germany, Singapore, Bangladesh, how many countries amongst the above are other than India, means apart from India, of the given countries where international payments are under UPI, means how many of these countries accepted UPI payments? As simple as that. Now Germany did not accept it so far. Bangladesh did not accept it so far. So you can eliminate option 3 and option 5. Option 3 and option 5. So that how many statements? UAE, yes. France, yes. Singapore, yes. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 4 means how many? Total 3 only. Total 3 only. Please remember, total 3 only. You can see here. So Singapore recently accepted. Malaysia, Nepal, Bhutan, UAE, France. In near future, not so far, in near future, Australia, Russia is going to accept, but not Germany and Bangladesh. So Germany and Bangladesh can be eliminated from the list. Now see the 80th question. Consider the following statements about Surya Ghar. See, Ghar, Muft, Bijli. Bijli means power, Yojana. Ghar means what? It is a domestic. Ghar means is a domestic or residential area. It's a residential area. Now it targets installation of 1 crore solar rooftop panel in residential sector. So obviously, even if you don't know about the statement also, you can go for common sense question, because the word gar means what? House. Residential means what? House. Option 1 is the statement 1 is true. Now the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, obviously Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana means solar is a renewable energy ministry only. Statement 2 is right. Now it aims to create more than 3 lakh skilled manpower, fresh skilling and upskilling under scheme component of capacity building. Even if you don't know this question, you can you can give a correct answer. How? Any solar or any renewable energy that we are establishing in this country will definitely require huge manpower with skilled upskilling and fresh skilling. So obviously it is a positive statement. It is also relevant to the statement because it is a renewable energy ministry, and installation of the rooftop solar power panels on the residential areas. So even if you don't know about this question, now you know what, in the Telugu states, even Group 1 prelims also asked the same question. PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. The target is to install 1 crore solar panels across the country so that 300 units of power can be produced by the solar panels in each and every home. They can consume the some amount, and they can even sell the remained power to the government so that they can become economically powerful also. So this is the you can see here renewable energy and 1 crore installations, and upskilling, all these things can be done, and it is up to 300 units of electricity per month it can produce, right? Now these are the current affairs related questions. Okay, thank you so much. Have a nice day.